Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Atlanta REALTORS Rundown. Thank you so much for being here. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you leave us a review. We'd love to hear what you're taking away from the episodes. I'm really excited about today's episode because we always try to be on the cutting edge here at the Atlanta REALTORS, and we do want to make sure that we're bringing you valuable content that you can practically and tactically use in your business, but also look down the road a little bit further and look at what's coming to our industry. The new technology and the new, today we're going to talk about AI. I mean, there's so many things that are changing in our world literally every day now, I feel like. And that doesn't even include the market. But that's what we're going to talk about today. I'd like to introduce our guest today, Killian. And Killian, you've been in Atlanta real estate for about how long now?
I got my license February 2016. So
Excellent.
That makes it about, what was that, 8 years?
8 years. Fantastic.
8 years.
Very good. So talk to us a little bit about your experience with Atlanta real estate, what areas you work in. Are there any niches that you're in, stuff like that? Or kind of give us a little more of what that 8 years has looked like.
Absolutely. I came to Atlanta from Munich, Germany originally. Got my license, as I said, in February 2016. I didn't know anybody, right? So I came to move to Atlanta from Germany after graduating university, and I read, I would say, maybe 25, 30 books about how to be successful as a real estate agent in America.
I love it.
While I was still in Germany going to university.
I love it.
Every single one of those books talked about lead generation. At the time, I didn't know what a lead was. So I was like, how can I generate a lead if I don't know what a lead is? But everybody was talking about the most successful agents. Of course, they focus on, well, I guess listings, right? How do you get listings? You get listings usually right away, right off the bat, working with expireds and for sale by owners, FSBOs. And that's what all the books were talking about. So that's basically what I did. So I came to Atlanta, started working the phones, calling FSBOs, for sale by owners, calling expireds every day. Got a few appointments. Of course, a lot of rejection, especially in the very beginning.
I imagine, yeah.
But that's how I basically got started. I started working in Marietta. That's where my office was at the time in 2016. I would go all over the city, right? Nice. Of course, a young, hungry agent, anyone who wanted to talk to me, I would go there. Yeah. It didn't matter how long the drive was. Yeah. I got more and more established. I'm now in the Bucket area, and I still, up until today, still cold call FSBOs and expireds. Nice. Of course, build a book of business, repeat referral clients, and it's worked out well. Good. I enjoy it.
Good, that's awesome. Well, I love the hustle because, I think a lot of people only see the glamorous side of real estate. Absolutely. They're watching Selling Sunset.
Especially with HGTV.
TV makes it seem, no one's showing the FSBOs or the people calling expires
because
for some reason.
It's not glamorous, right?
Okay, got it.
It's not glamorous being cussed on the phone.
And the paychecks don't maybe are equal or congruent with the activity. But yeah, no, I love that hustle because to me, this is a tough business, right? It's very cutthroat, right? There are people that are reducing their fee and changing their marketing and doing things differently now, probably more than ever.
I agree.
And so I'm really glad that you mentioned that because I think a lot of people that may be thinking about getting their license or listening to you going, I have to cold call people, I have to create my own business, no one's going to just hand me a lead. I mean, I think a lot of people probably would have never gotten their license if they didn't realize that's how things come along. But
what is that statistic? 3 out of 5 agents, is that?
Something like that.
Something like that. Get out of the business within 2 years.
Yeah. And 87% fail in the first 5, I think. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, it's tough. But to your point, if you're willing to put in the work, I think the people don't realize too that when you're out doing that type of activity, other people are watching. And to me, that type of work ethic is really, really important because whether you do FSBOs and expireds or you create an unbelievable farm or sphere of influence, everyone's watching. We think that no one's watching our behavior or working with integrity, all that type of stuff. That's a whole nother subject for maybe another day. We'll have you back in
even today when I go into the office and I see people from my brokerage company from like back in the days when I first met them, they're like, oh, you're that guy from Germany working the phones all the time, right? I remember you being locked into that room and just dialing for dollars.
I get it. I love it. Well, today we wanted to have you in to talk a little more about AI, artificial intelligence, for those of you that need to be brought up to speed here. But AI has really, especially in the last year or two, taken a whole new meaning in our world, and not just in real estate, but in our lives. I mean, it doesn't take but 10 minutes on Instagram and TikTok and all these other platforms for you to see that AI is being integrated in a lot of different ways. It's not just the videos you watch, it's not just the content you consume, but it's how you get information. It's how you consume information. It's how you can even prepare information for people. When I think about our clients, I think about 5 and 10 years from now, the amount of information's always been there. Yeah. But now for them to be able to distill it down to exactly what they want is really powerful. So talk to us a little bit about your experience with it, what you're kind of doing with it currently, the transition or where you kind of started with it as to where it is today, and then where you think it's going to go in the future.
Absolutely. I think it's a fantastic tool, kind of scary a little bit, right? Because you literally have all the knowledge with the press of one button, you have it right there. The easiest is ChatGPT for listing descriptions. You type in, you get a listing description that's very well written. But of course, outside of that, my main focus in order to stay successful as a real estate agent, I believe you always have to work leads, right? You always have to outreach, prospect. And the way I utilize artificial intelligence in my business is basically I use it to reach more people. Mm-hmm. There's, for example, there's a company that I signed up with a couple of months ago. It's very new because, of course, everything is new in that genre, I guess. It's basically a chat bot built to reach out via text for sale by owners or expired listings. Nice. Meaning you upload the contact data, address, name, phone number, and then that bot reaches out to them and has that built-in chatting with the prospect, so to say. Like they say, yes, I do want to sell, time frame, when, where, what they're looking for, the pain points that they want to avoid, working with a real estate agent, what's to hold back, what's holding them back from working with them. And then it's basically kind of like leading them towards setting an appointment directly with me. So the great thing about that is, of course, it's all done behind the scenes, right? I mean, we as real estate agents, we wear so many different hats. And so I get it that a lot of times, even when you're going on listing appointments, when you're working with buyers, showing properties, you're working on closings, you're negotiating inspections, all that stuff. Oftentimes, lead generation gets put on the back burner.
Especially when you get busy.
Exactly. And you're working five deals, you close 5 deals in a month. But because you lacked lead generation in the last, 6 weeks, then maybe you may have a month, 2, 3, 4 months where there's nothing coming in. So that's why I think it's very important to at least set aside 2 hours a day to prospect, basically. And so then basically I log into the system and I see somebody who's willing to set an appointment, reach out to them directly and set it up right there. Yeah. That's one aspect. The company is called apexdeals.io, I believe. And I'm not being paid to say
not a sponsorship. Not a sponsorship. But no, I love that because to your point, there's always new tools. There's always new technologies, and mini chat's one of those things that I've looked at, right, with Instagram and Facebook. And how do we keep those leads warm, right? Yeah. Because not everyone's going to buy tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. Some people are looking at buying next year and 5 years from now, right? Exactly. But how do we remain valuable to them, right? And keeping them up to speed with everything, but also what's also changing, because as we said earlier, things are constantly changing here in Atlanta real estate. And as far as interest rates go and values, insurance has been a huge topic over the last couple of months here. Yeah. So I think that's super smart. As far as, because you mentioned the leads as they're coming in, what I've seen, and I'd love to hear your kind of perspective on this, they can take conversation now to a whole different level, right? I'm sure a lot of you have seen the viral video of Google's assistant where it's like, hey, schedule an appointment for my haircut, and then they make the call to the hair salon, and that to me is wild. But now we're seeing that play out in text form as well, right? So in text messages and emails, in a chat bot on your website, there's so many different ways. If someone's listening to this and going, this all sounds great, I'm a little fearful, right, of maybe disconnecting, not creating that personalized experience. How do you get them to overcome that? What have you done to kind of make it feel more personal?
Well, I guess actually one thing to say that I want to say before I guess I forget it.
Sure.
What you mentioned about leads, right? You want to keep them. You want to keep engaging with them, right? Old leads. And I guess to answer the question is, I upgraded my CRM to Follow Up Boss about a year or two ago, and implemented automatic text messages to stay in touch with these, old leads. Like so many times, there's a person that says, I want to buy, I want to sell, but just not yet, right? 6, 9, 10 months from now. So you put them in, you categorize them: A lead, category A, B, or C. Warm, hot, cold, and then basically the way I built the system. It's Texting Betty is a service that basically sends text messages that you can schedule when, meaning like the lead comes in and you want to send them like right away one, and then a week later you want to send them one, 2 weeks later, to kind of like keep them engaged. Yeah. And I think the great thing about it is you have the power to personalize those messages. Meaning I go in and I edit those text messages. Of course, like they're like, AI pre-worked and stuff, but oftentimes, as you said, you can always tell, right? When you get a text message, and we get, as real estate agents, we get hundreds of text messages all the time. And
just today, actually.
Right?
Hundreds today.
And then it says at the end, it has this nice stop.
Right. Opt out here, opt out. Type into, hit no. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And of course, like for carrier compliance, I guess they have to, of course, do that. But you always know, and like, we don't even read those text messages. And I mean, text messages have an open rate of, I think, 99%.
Yeah. So,
I guess to answer your question, like I go in and personalize those messages, and then for each lead specifically, when they, for example, tell me something, whatever, like I'm going on a Europe vacation, to where I can put that into where in 2 weeks, they send out a text message saying, hey, I hope you have a great vacation. Don't worry about the house being listed here. We take care of it, or something like that.
Sure.
They come back, safe travels, something personalized.
Yeah.
Personalize it on your own while utilizing artificial intelligence to make your life easier on the back end, to where now, because I upgraded my system and I have like all my systems and processes in place to do that, I open my phone and I see, hey, yes, thank you so much, I'm ready to list now. And I click on that lead and I'm like, oh.
The best message to wake up to.
I know, right?
Well, I love that you mentioned that too, because I think, and I've even built this up for myself, right? This email message, that text message doesn't feel personal, right? So how do you personalize it? So then you do that, but then I think we get in our own way, right? And to your point, any follow-up is better than no follow-up, right? Even if it's not hyper-personalized, no one knows in some cases, right?
Yeah.
And we're a little too close to, this stuff, I think, sometimes, that we overthink it.
Yeah.
And we think, oh, they're going to get turned off, they're going to opt out. Well, in sales, indecision is the worst possible outcome. We want yeses and we want nos. So we don't want in between. We like black and white. So I love that you mentioned that. But I do think we need to get out of our own way sometimes. And I think that's what keeps people away from newsletters and from email marketing is that, I mean, I don't know about you, but 200, 300, 400 emails a day in some cases, right? Yeah. We're bombarded with messaging all the time, and that doesn't even include social media. Yeah. And so how to kind of break through that noise, to your point, making it personalized, but also making it something that speaks to them and the stage that they're in, the point that they're at, meeting them kind of where they are. So I love that you mentioned that. So talk to us a little bit about like current day. Obviously, you've talked about like how a lead gets handled, which I loved your mention of Follow Up Boss. That was a program I looked at for a while. And now it seems like most good CRMs are now implementing some sort of AI assistant or some writing, into your email templates or into your text stuff. So talk to us a little bit about like current day. Is there anything else that you're kind of watching or looking at and going, okay, so now that I got my leads handled, how do we, and we're personalizing messages towards them, what's the next step after that? Like, what would you recommend for people to kind of think about or look at?
Well, there was one company that I looked at that actually has what you mentioned, like some sort of like a Google Assistant. It's basically an AI chatbot, a voice, an actual, well, it's not an actual person.
But it sounds like one.
It sounds like one. Yeah. And it's an actual, voice talking to the lead on the phone, meaning, again, you plug in or you upload the file to the system, and then there's that voice, the AI voice, calling them on the phone. And I listen into some of them, and I mean, of course, like it was groundbreaking, I guess, like 6, 7, 8 months ago. That's when I first heard about it, and I signed up with them, and I looked into it. I mean, there were a lot of things that they, of course, could upgrade, and so, but just listening in on that, like a person answers the phone, says, this is John Doe, and then the chatbot says, hey, I'm a real estate broker. I work for X, Y, and Z. Are you planning to sell the property? Yes. And then just the way, I mean, it was completely fascinating to me. Completely fascinating to me to where artificial intelligence is so far advanced that you don't even need a human anymore.
Yeah.
But of course, listening in on that, a lot of people, I mean, you always will need a human.
Sure.
You always will need a human, of course, to, for that personalized touch. Because, of course, the last thing someone wants to hear is that they're talking to a computer.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, right? And in the very moment that they realized that the chatbot was taking too long to answer or was a too generic answer to response to their question, they're like, okay, bye.
right.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
But of course, in sales, everything's a numbers game.
Yep.
Everything's a numbers game. And of course, like dialing for dollars, especially when, heavily cold calling, that's just what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Numbers game.
Yeah, no, I get it. Well, and do you think it's fair to say that like there's probably going to be 3 groups of real estate people? That there's the people that just stick their head in the sand and are like, AI will go away, just like the internet was supposed to. We're not going to use this. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to read the articles. We're not going to listen to the podcast and blogs and stuff about it. The second group might be someone that dips their toe in, like figures out, to your point, how they're going to use it and use it more effectively for their business, because it's leverage at the end of the day, right? It's a resource, just like everything else in our business. And then I think there's going to be like, it sounds like you, right? The third group that is like hyper focused on it. How can this help me not just continue to do the business that I'm doing, but maybe leverage my time, leverage my resources, but also maybe do more business. So you think that's fair enough to like
100%.
Okay.
100%. I mean, I think in today's world, it is so crucial in order to remain in order to operate at a high level in any business, you always have to adapt.
Yeah.
You have to adapt to markets, of course, markets changing, interest rates going up or down. You have to adapt to that. You have to adapt to, external factors such as AI. And what we want to do as real estate agents, we want to create value for our clients, right? We want to be there as a valuable resource. We have the knowledge about markets, about how the market affects, let's say, for example, someone is trying to sell their house, interest rates go up or down. What effect has that on the client? And where real estate agents like ourselves can benefit from and also bring that benefit onto our clients, I think is AI is an ocean of knowledge, right? An endless ocean of knowledge, right? Meaning like when we utilize that not only to grow our own business, but also use it as a resource for our clients to see whatever it may be. I mean, you have a question about a specific market. Instead of having a mastermind with 10 other brokers, you sit down, you schedule a Zoom meeting with 10 other brokers, you go into the chatbot. And of course, you want to tweak it a little bit here and there. But the answers are, there's a lot of answers there.
Yeah. Well, and I think you're right. I think we've seen this like information boom, right, over the last 15, 20 years as the internet's developed. Excuse me. And now all this new information about that information is coming out, right? And the way that communication is occurring and, with the advent of social media and everything changing, the way that information is now delivered to humans is wildly different. Think about your iPhone that was 10 years old, right? Like so slow.
Right.
You had to hit the thing twice because the touch screen wasn't that great.
Yeah.
And now you're just like, hey, Siri, set up a lunch reservation. It's just nuts. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Right. Like imagine like where's it gonna be in 10 years?
Right. It's going to be, I'm hoping that we can just think about things and then they just show up
probably
via Amazon or whoever. But no, I think you're right. And I think, all that information that's been put out for now, literally decades, is now being, I call this like the information leverage age, right? Where we're taking all of the data points and all the market statistics, literally now in an instant, and disseminating it and distilling it down to, here's the exact answer that you were looking for, right? Tell me about area code 404 phone numbers in this area, or 30328 homes and the appreciation. Now you get that where you had to go find this piece of information and then that one and then this one, and then look at all three and go, Okay, now I think I understand. But that requires so much analyzation, which is the leverage now of what we're kind of seeing. So, so the future, like we're here today. It's now 2024, of course. Where do we go from here? How do real estate agents leverage this in the future? I mean, especially for these two groups that are going to hopefully adopt, right, on whatever level they're going to. What does the future look like for us? I mean, I know I'm seeing a lot of video animation and voice animation change the way that people are interacting with content and with marketing and stuff. And of course, commercials alone. I mean, now I feel like every single major corporation is taking AI and folding it into marketing in a lot of ways. Yeah. So us as real estate agents, like and realtors, where do we go from here in terms of AI? Where do you think we're going to be able to leverage it? Where do you think we're going to be able to utilize it for the value of our clients?
Yeah. I think, as you said, right, you mentioned the three different groups, right? I think there's going to be a big change in the market for real estate agents, meaning I think more and more agents are going to be left behind that are not adapting. I think just adoption or adapting to changes is just so vital and so crucial, right? So I think we're going to see quite a few people being left behind who don't adapt, right? Now, with all of that in the future, and who knows where all of that is going to take us, right? I mean, we have so much information literally at our fingertips. Everything is right there. It can certainly serve as a great benefit to us, but I think what is important and must not be left behind is that personal touch, right? The personal touch needs to, I think, remain in place with your clients. In the future, of course, who knows where it's going to take us, right? Who knows? But with all that automation, people don't want to be feeling like you call like a credit card company, right? And you're
press
talking
one,
to
press star.
Exactly right. I mean, the last thing you want to do is when you sell your house, right? You want to be certainly not talking to some AI voice, right? Of course, that's our job as real estate agents, to be there as a valuable resource to our clients. And I think wherever the AI will take us in the future, I think it's very important and very crucial for the brokers, for the agents who stay on top, to never lose that personal touch with their clients. Yeah. Even in newsletters, personalize it, right? Personalize the story. Of course, utilize AI as much as you can for growing the business, expanding the business, content creation. But that personal touch, I think, must not ever be lost.
Yeah. I'm really glad that you said that, because I think a lot of the fear, and of course, when Zillow came along, when Redfin and Realtor.com, all these sites, they were all saying, we're going to replace the real estate agent. It was like, I mean, of course, every real estate agent was super fearful about that. And what does the future of our business look like, And now here, 12 years later, however long Zillow's been around, I don't think any of us are genuinely concerned that. Now, there were some people that got out of the business that didn't create value for their clients. Yep. But I think in a lot of ways, and I tell my clients all the time, Zillow is a phenomenal tool. Like you go and you search and you find exactly what you're looking for. And then you come to me for my negotiation and my personal touch and everything that you mentioned, because that's really something that is irreplaceable at this point. And so if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm really worried about the future of AI and real estate, I understand why. I get it. But there are just some things, when you go to try a shoe on, the shoe fits or it doesn't. It feels good or it doesn't. Like, it's very black or white, right? Right. And there are some experiences, to your point, that will never, ever be replaced. So I really appreciate you mentioning that. Awesome. Very good. Well, in closing here, if someone wants to connect with you or wants to continue the dialogue around AI, or maybe they're like, man, I love what Killian had to say there. I got to go take this guy to coffee and pick his brain more. Like, wherever you want to take it, what would be the best way for them to connect with you, or go to your website? What's the best?
Absolutely. Check out my website. Go to the contact form, KilianRief.com. Contact me on Instagram, Kilian Rief 1.
Perfect.
On Instagram,
the number
Instagram
one.
handle, number 1.
Yeah, not spelled out.
That's right. Kilian Rief and the number 1.
Perfect.
Send me a message. Would love to share what I know.
Yeah, I love it. Well, and as we continue to see new technologies and new tools and new resources, obviously we're going to bring more of these contacts and the context to this dialogue along with us on this wild ride that is Atlanta real estate. But really appreciate your insight. Super valuable today, and I hope everyone here also got something out of it. But thank you all for watching, for listening. Again, if you have not yet watched the YouTube or subscribed to YouTube, go ahead and do that. Atlanta Realtors. On YouTube, you can subscribe there. Also on the podcast here, we'd love to have you subscribe to the Apple podcast. If you're using Apple, if you're using iHeartRadio, or wherever you're listening to your podcast, just go there, hit subscribe, leave a review. We'd love to hear what you're getting away from these episodes, and hopefully a ton of value. I think today's a perfect example of it. We're trying to be on that cutting edge, on the very leading edge of what's changing in our world every single day, but also in our clients' world. And AI is going to be one of those things that we continue to watch and monitor and adopt and kind of move along with. So really appreciate your time again today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. You got it.